The elevator ride felt endless. Each floor chimed like a heartbeat in Clara Dawson's chest. Her hands clutched an old leather purse, the same one her late father had given her before he passed. Inside it, an envelope full of crumpled bills, the product of months of double shifts, skipped meals, and quiet tears. When the doors finally opened to the 32nd floor of Cole Industries, Clara was greeted by gleaming marble, golden lighting, and people who smelled of wealth and confidence. The contrast made her shrink into herself. Her simple blue dress clung too tightly, her shoes were scuffed, and she could already feel the judgment in the glances of passing assistants. "Good morning," the receptionist said with professional politeness, masking curiosity. "Do you have an appointment with Mr. Cole?" Clara nodded nervously. "Yes, I'm here to discuss my father's debt." "William Dawson. He used to run Dawson's Auto Garage." The receptionist's eyebrows lifted slightly at the name but said nothing. "Mr. Cole will see you now." When Clara stepped inside the CEO's office, she felt small in every sense of the word. The room was vast, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city skyline, a sleek black desk and one man sitting behind it with an aura that filled the silence. Adrian Cole, 38, sharp suit, colder eyes. He was the kind of man who seemed carved from control. Everything about him, his stillness, his tone, the deliberate way he lifted his gaze to meet hers, made her breath hitch. "Miss Dawson," he said quietly. "Please sit down." She perched on the edge of the chair, clutching the envelope so tightly it crinkled. "I won't take much of your time," she began, voice trembling but determined. "My father, he owed your company money before he passed away. I know it wasn't a lot by your standards, but it's everything to me." She placed the envelope gently on his desk. "I've managed to collect $4,300 so far. I'll pay the rest in installments. I just want to make things right." Adrian didn't move. His eyes rested on the envelope for a long, silent moment, then rose to her face. There was no mockery there, only quiet observation. "Tell me," he said at last, "how long did it take you to gather that?" Clara blinked, taken aback by the question. "Almost a year," she admitted softly. "I worked 2 jobs, waitressing and tutoring. It's not much, but my father taught me that a Dawson always pays her debts." For the first time, Adrian's expression flickered, a shadow of emotion crossing his face. He leaned back in his chair, folding his hands thoughtfully. "Your father was a good man," he said. "I knew him. He serviced my company's delivery trucks for years. Never once overcharged, never once made excuses." Clara's eyes widened. "You knew him?" Adrian nodded. "He was proud of you. Talked about you every time I visited the garage. Said you were the smartest person he'd ever met." Her throat tightened. "He said that?" Adrian's voice softened. "He did." She bit her lip to stop it from trembling. For a moment neither spoke, the silence filling the room not with tension, but something more tender. Finally, Adrian reached forward and slid the envelope back toward her. Clara frowned in confusion. "Mr. Cole, please." "There's no debt," he interrupted gently, her brows furrowed. "But my father." "The debt was cleared," he said simply. "Months ago. I closed it myself." She stared at him, speechless. "You did that?" He nodded once. "Your father saved my drivers once. Fixed a brake issue in the middle of the night before a major shipment. He refused extra pay. Said, just do something good for someone else someday." Adrian paused, his gaze steady. I figured this was my turn to do the same. Tears welled in Clara's eyes. She tried to blink them back, whispering, "You didn't have to." "I know," he said quietly. "But I wanted to." She looked down at her lap, overwhelmed, a soft sob catching in her throat. For the first time in years, Adrian felt something stir in his chest. Empathy, maybe even admiration. There was something pure about her. She had walked into his empire of steel and power, trembling yet determined, carrying not pride but love. The storm that had threatened the city all morning finally broke, rain sliding down the glass behind him. The soft sound filled the silence between them. Clara reached for the envelope again, unsure of what to do with it now. "Then I guess there's nothing left to say except thank you," she murmured. "You've been kinder than I expected." Adrian stood slowly, coming around to her side of the desk. His height made her look up, startled. But his expression was different now. No longer the distant businessman, but a man who seemed curious. Maybe even gentle. You still owe me one thing, he said. Clara blinked, heart racing. What do you mean? I thought... He smiled faintly, just enough to soften his stern features. Dinner. She stared at him, confused. Dinner? Yes, he said, leaning against the edge of his desk, arms crossed casually. With me tonight, no contracts, no debts. Just conversation. Her mouth fell open. Mr. Cole, that's not necessary. Adrian, he corrected. And maybe it's not necessary, but I'd like it. You remind me that decency still exists in a world that's forgotten it. Clara's cheeks flushed a deep pink. I don't know what to say. He tilted his head slightly. Say yes. She hesitated, looking at her worn purse, her old shoes, then at the man who seemed to belong to another world entirely. I'm not exactly the kind of woman CEOs take to dinner. Adrian's smile deepened, softer now. Maybe you don't know the kind of CEO I am. Something in his tone, quiet, sincere, melted her defenses. Finally she nodded, voice barely above a whisper. All right. Dinner it is. He grinned, not the polished corporate smile people feared, but a real one. Good. I'll pick you up at 7. As she rose to leave, she turned at the door, still clutching the useless envelope. Mr. Cole? He met her eyes. Yes? Thank you. Not just for this, but for seeing my father, and for seeing me. Adrian watched her go, her silhouette disappearing down the hall, a simple woman with a quiet soul who had somehow shaken the dust off his cold, empty world. Outside, lightning flashed against the skyline. Inside, Adrian Cole stood by the window, his reflection merging with the rain-streaked glass. He whispered to no one, She doesn't owe me anything. But maybe I owe her something more.